Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, September 8th, 2020. My name is Karen Bodenschatz. I serve as Associate Pastor at First Lutheran Church, and you have made your way to our morning musings. So excitement in our house yesterday morning. I was not in my bedroom, but heard some squeaking coming from my bedroom, and Leo has toys. Leo's my cat. Leo has toys that squeak, and so I didn't think anything of it until I walked into my bedroom, poked, and saw a chipmunk cowering from Leo. And so mass chaos ensued as myself and my parents tried to get said chipmunk out of the house. We were not successful, so traps have been laid. And if traps are not working, we'll call our exterminator. But wow, first thing in the morning before coffee. So as I was getting ready yesterday after all of that and had some coffee, I just was thinking about the whole thing and what we were going to do and how this was all going to work. And as I was thinking about the process, the methods that we used to capture this cute little chipmunk, because they are adorable. They're just more adorable outdoors. Thank you. I also was thinking about what I would say today and on the topic of anti-racism and how that journey for me is going. And so this is certainly not an analogy. This is just my thought process. So as I thought about the different methods that we use, both aggressive and passive, both overt and now covert ways to catch this chipmunk, that mixed around with my own thoughts around anti-racism. And I began to think about the racist systems that have been put into place and the history of those systems and how sometimes they're very overt and sometimes they are very covert, or at least covert to us as white people, because to Black people they're not. And the first system that I really kind of became aware of was the housing and education, and how tied those are together and how they were used to oppress and disadvantage Black people and people of color. But I was like, what other things have I learned about that I need to delve into with as much fervor as I delved into that a couple years ago? And I was reminded of the stories that Austin Channing Brown tells in her book, I'm Still Here, about what it's like to work in America right now, especially if you are one of the only people of color that works in that workplace. And the comments, the jokes, the actions that white coworkers do without ever really, there's some who do, but most of us don't realize we're doing. And of course, as a woman, I can have some empathy and have some sense of what she's talking about. As a person with really curly hair in a land that doesn't have a lot of people with curly hair, the comments that people make are often, they think are being very kind and complimentary, but in fact are not. And then I recently listened to a podcast of a person of color who is an employee at Adidas, and the ways that she is working to change that system from the inside. And where my brain has landed in terms of my own anti-racism work at this point, and what I hope to maybe get you thinking about, and hopefully that thinking will lead to some actions in your own workplace, and just to be aware of how you talk with one another, because I think this principle can apply to everything. is that the burden in a workplace is often placed on the person of color to change, or to wait, or to be kind, or to understand, or to be empathetic. But that burden is always placed on the person of color. Very rarely does the people in leadership whom that person of color will go to, because they have said that they want to be a place that is, they want to break down those racist systems. But the people in leadership often put the onus on the person of color, to be aware of those things, and to not place the burden on the person of color, right? Because we've talked about this. It's not their job. It's our job as white people to begin to change. And I just saw this headline as I was waiting for my coffee to brew this morning. And it ties in, and I'm still processing that. So, but the headline said something like, Black Lives Matter protesters need to stop because it might backfire and Trump might get reelected. And I thought, wow, okay. I mean, I get it, but I also am like, no, maybe white people need to start changing and looking in on themselves. So I think that's our task. If you are in a workplace right now, just be aware of how you interact with people, especially if there's people of color in your workplace. Here in the Midwest, that's less likely to be the case. But that doesn't mean we can't be aware of how we talk to people who are female, who are members of the LGBTQ community, the jokes we choose to say, the practices that are in place. It really is up to us as white people who are seeking to be anti-racist to do the hard work that is breaking down these systems that are so deep that we sometimes don't even realize it. So step number 1, let's begin to realize, and then let's begin to change. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you later.